get out of hand with that welcome stuff, right? Yeah. Well, hey, worship team, thank you so much for that. That was awesome. And it's good to see so many of you here today and good to have some new faces. We're glad that you guys are with us. And we're just happy that you would enter into worship with us. So praise the Lord. Hey, I got a couple of announcements before we get into today's topic. And one of them is that we pray every Monday night for our church. We've been praying every Monday night for our church. This week I'm told that there's a small family event on Monday night. And so that prayer meeting is not going to happen on Monday night. Tammy's going to send out a note if it's going to happen later in the week, okay? So you'll receive something. So we won't pray on Monday. We may pray later in the week. But the following Monday, I'd love to see as many of you as possible show up. Monday night, November 7th, which is going to be an important night for Christians to be praying for our country. Have you noticed that there's an election going on? Yeah, so we got a lot to pray about. So if you guys could mark it on your calendar to make a commitment to be here, make a commitment to vote, but make a commitment to come pray too, would you? So that's a week from Monday night. We'll be here praying for our country. We need God to intervene in a big way. So there's a couple other things that are in your bulletin this week, but I'm not going to go through a lot of those. For the sake of time, we got something more important I'd like for you to know about today. I am going to ask our ushers to come forward at this time. We're going to take our offering. As they're coming, though, I'm going to get Deborah and Casey. Are you guys here? Come on, I'm going to have them come forward. If the ushers can come on forward for us then. What we're going to do is we're going to take our offering, and while the offering's going through, I'm going to introduce these good people. I got a couple words to say. But first, let me pray for us, all right? Lord, thank you for a good morning so far. Your presence is here with us. We are so grateful that you are our God and you are our King. We thank you for our church. We thank you for an opportunity to serve you and to worship you here. We pray for the offering that's going to be given, that it would advance your kingdom. In Jesus' name, amen. Deborah, come on up here. As the plate's going up, you guys know Deborah. She is our children's director. That's right, exactly. She takes care of our precious cargo every week with her sidekick, Casey, who's, I think, down wrangling kids. Yeah, she's on active duty. So, Deborah, tell us a little bit about what's going to be happening in the Kids Zone today.
I am so excited. We are going to be discussing some fun things that's so top secret you can't. I'm kidding. We get to learn about Jesus and that he is the light that's inside of us. And there's something that happens usually tomorrow. And maybe some of you kids and maybe big kids have done this already. You take a pumpkin and you carve it out, and there's something you place inside of it that makes it all look really, really cool. So we're going to talk about that today and how Jesus is that something that is inside of us that just makes our life so much greater and so much brighter. So I'm excited. Do you want me to go ahead and have them all come up? Okay. And so if you are in kindergarten or first or second or third or fourth or fifth grade, can you come up here? Can you give your mom and dad a kiss and a hug and say, thanks so much for bringing me to church? And would you can come right up here in front. Everybody, come on. Oh, we have one coming. Hey, Bella. And we have some visitors today, and so that is so exciting. We have lots of new friends. And we are all going to march back together because they have fun in here, but we have a lot more fun back there. So, yeah. Thanks so much.
Deborah, thank you guys for all you do for our kids. Praise the Lord. Yeah, thank you. Well, hey, if you're visiting here with us today, you got here on a great day. We actually welcome in a lot of visitors, both new faces that were invited and also some friends of mine. You guys know, a lot of you know that I'm involved with the Boise Rescue Mission, and I love that. And I've asked some of those folks to come and join us for worship today, and we got about 25 of them here. And that's what we're going to be focusing on today, is hearing about what the Lord's doing at the Boise Rescue Mission. And if you get a couple of things out of it, I want you to know two things. God is still moving and saving people, right? But it's not a spectator sport. And the second thing I want you to know is that also Julie Jones up here with us. You guys give them a hand, and we're going to sit in the high chairs. Yeah. We'll find out who's right wingers and who's left wingers here. Oh, man, I'm left winger. Yeah, okay, we're mostly in the middle. Okay, so this is Bill Roscoe and Julie Jones. Bill is the director, the CEO of the Boise Rescue Mission, has been for over 10 years. Julie's the director of the City Light Home for Women and Children. And so what I'd like to do is we're going to talk here first about the leadership aspect and the aspect of how this mission works and what it accomplishes. Then we're going to have an opportunity to hear from some people who are in the ministry, people whose lives are being touched by this ministry, people who Jesus is getting a hold of them. So we're going to get to hear about that, and then we're going to have a special at the end that you're going to love. Okay? So here we go. So Bill, what I'd like for you to do is just talk to us about how you got started in rescue. What does it mean to be in rescue mission work? What's the philosophy behind it? What happens in a rescue ministry?
Well, I'm glad you told me we have 2 hours for this, Tony, because it's going to take a little
Yeah.
while. So y'all bear with us, and we'll get through it. But it's so good to be with you folks. I used to live right up the road here back in 2002, and we worshiped here back in those days a few times, and I've spoken here, went to a men's breakfast and spoke here. So it's really great to be back, and it's great to see so many people that I already had a little bit of connection with. But I also met Chris Smith, and that was our sheriff in Canyon County about 6 years ago, Chris Smith. This isn't the same one. He had some relationship with the justice system, but it wasn't with a badge. But I was happy to meet him, and as he told me his story, it reminded me of my own story and how I started in rescue mission ministry, because 40 years ago, I was a hopeless dope addict, and today I'm a dopeless hope addict. Amen? 40 years ago, I was as lost as you can be and blind and couldn't see and stumbling around trying to get through life and just in a miserable state. And a man came into our lives who happened to be the pastor of a church that my mother started going to. I think she sicked him on me, but we met with him a few times in our home and had some friends over. And make a long story short, he persuaded me to consider that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God. And the way that that happened for me was looking at John 3:17. Because as miserable a human being as I was, and the things that I had already experienced at 25 years old, um, I was convinced that if there was a God and he was real, he would probably want to kill me. He wouldn't love me. But John 3:17 says, God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him could be saved. And I grabbed onto that promise from God with both hands, and in short order, he proved to me that he is the Redeemer. He is the God who saves. And I received Christ, and a couple weeks later, my wife received Christ. And so all the time that my children, who are now old, I got grandchildren, when my kids were little, they were raised up in the church, and I'm so grateful to God for that. That my kids didn't go through the same kind of things, have the same experiences that I did as a child, and they ended up knowing Jesus at an early age. So I was in the building business in those days, and a long time later on, I was building some apartments in a little town called Jamestown, California. And on Wednesday night, I found a little church that I wanted to drop in on because they had a potluck. And I didn't cook. And I was staying in a cabin all by myself in a little cabin up in Twain Harte, California. So I started going Wednesday night with these folks and having Bible study and a potluck. I'd stop at Safeway and get a bag of chips, and that was my contribution. Big bag, but I'd bring chips and eat their food, and I was so happy to have fellowship. I hate being alone. So one Wednesday night, when I went to that Bible study, they began to study the book of Isaiah, and I'd already been studying Isaiah, one of my favorite books of the Bible. And they got to Isaiah chapter 58, and I want to read just a couple verses for you from Isaiah 58. Black marker. I got different colored markers, so I know what I'm doing. So the people are complaining to God. Hard to believe, no? Can you believe that people complain to God? We don't do that anymore in the church, right? Much. They're complaining to God because they thought they were doing everything that God wanted them to do in order to be pleasing to him. But they were so deceived in their own hearts, and they so misunderstood the heart of God, that after they got done complaining to them about how much they fasted and how much they love God, he said back to them in verse 6 of Isaiah 58, "Is this not the fast that I've chosen? To loose the bonds of wickedness, to undo the heavy burdens, to let the oppressed go free, and that you break every yoke? Is it not to share your bread with the hungry, and that you bring to your house the poor," which literally translates to the homeless, "that you bring to your house the homeless who are cast out? When you see the naked, that you clothe him, and not hide yourself from your own flesh? Is this not the fast that I've chosen, saith the Lord?" And when I heard those words read, when I read those words, and I prayed over those words, God spoke to my heart. And I've been praying to God, asking him for an opportunity for ministry and full-time ministry. Get me out of the construction business. I did 20 years of hard labor. And God spoke to my heart and said, "This is the rescue mission, Bill Roscoe, where you volunteer. This is what the rescue mission is all about." And I looked out in your lobby today, and I found your statement on missions, and I loved it because it says, 2 Corinthians 5 tells us that our ministry is that of reconciliation. That is the ministry of rescue. Reconciliation. So that people like myself, as I once was lost and blind, can see the gospel living in people right close to me, and understanding that it's real, understanding that it's true, understanding that it's the power of God unto salvation. Within a month or so of coming to that revelation, the company I was working for shut down the West Coast operation, and I was suddenly without a job. And as I drove home from that place up in Jamestown to my home in Clear Lake and prayed and asked God, "What does this mean?" God said, "This is not the end of something, this is the beginning of something." I said, "Okay." So I called my wife on the company cell phone, last call that I got to make. It was bolted to the truck in those days, you might remember. And I said, "Hey, I just got laid off. I'm out of work. They shut down. I'm looking forward to what God's going to do." And he just told me not to worry. And she said, "Hey, buddy, the rent's due." Okay? I'm a little worried. I just have faith. I'm this pillar of faith. And by the time I got home, she was faithful, and she believed. And with short order after that, God had me at the rescue mission, beginning a ministry 25 years ago that started ministering to kids on the street, kids in jail, kids abandoned and abused and neglected in every kind of way, to today being the CEO of the Boise Rescue Mission. It's been an incredible journey, and it's all because of Jesus the Christ, the Son of the living God. And that's how I got here today, Tony.
Praise the Lord. So the mission is about so much. We've got ministry to homelessness, to veterans, to women, kids, men. You can name it. The whole spectrum of society is there. Julie ministers at the City Light Home for Women and Children. So we're going to talk a little bit about what does it look like specifically to minister in that setting. So Julie, if we'd woken up this morning at City Light, how many women and kids are there?
In our emergency shelter, we currently have about 100 women and children at City Light and another 45 women and children at Valley Women and Children's Shelter in Nampa.
Wow. Okay.
And then we also have our New Life program and our Next Step Transitional at City Light.
So all total, you've got maybe a couple hundred people
Right.
under shelter in your ministry.
Correct.
Okay. How much chaos is that?
There's a lot of chaos.
Okay. Yeah, so you guys know that, right?
Evenings at City Light are a lot of fun. They're high energy and high noise level, but it is a lot of fun because these kids, while the kids in the shelter are not, they're scared, they're unstable, it becomes home, and then they want to be there. They want to learn to follow the rules. They want to have that stability of somebody loves me enough to take care of me.
That's awesome. Well, I recently had a chance to hear Bill speak, and I remembered 3 key words. He spoke for like 30 minutes, and I only remember 3 words. Okay.
Yeah.
But the 3 words that stood out to me were safety, dignity, and hope. That we give people safety, dignity, and hope. And so that's what I'd like to talk to Julie about, is how does that happen? So Julie, if you would just talk to us a little bit about some situations where women and children need us for safety.
Absolutely. So I have a great example of a story that just happened this weekend in Canyon County. We have a mother with some an exception for those women who need a safe place to be during the day as well.
What are some of the things that would cause people to need shelter like that, safety?
Yeah. So there's a lot of different reasons that women end up in our emergency shelter. Some of them are fleeing domestic violence. There is someone who wants to hurt them or hurt their children, and they need a safe place to get out and to be safe. Some of them have lost their jobs and they've run out of their unemployment. They've run out of their Social Security. They don't have a support network to turn to. And so they just need a place to get back on their feet, get a job, and get some dignity, like you talked about, because they're so broken down from not being able to get a job and running out of unemployment that they just need to be encouraged that you're important and you can do this. We also have women who are coming out of the correctional system. They're getting out of jail or prison and they don't have anywhere else to go, so they come to the Boise Rescue Mission so that they can be reintegrated into our society and become productive members.
That's awesome. And you told me last week we had some victim of human trafficking.
Correct. Yes. So we work with the Boise Police Department and the Nampa Police Department for victims of human trafficking. If they rescue a victim from a human trafficking situation, they can call us and we can put that woman in a quiet room where she's safe and protected, where the rest of the general population is not going to see her until we can get protection orders and things in place and figure out where is the best place for her to be.
So you can imagine your brain, I'm sure, is thinking about all the things that have to be in place to make sure that safety can be maintained for people that want to steal kids. Can you imagine that? The pressure that is. That's amazing. Okay, so now let's kind of move to dignity. Why is it important that we give dignity, and how do we do that?
So dignity is what most homeless people are missing. They have been so beaten down by the world. Domestic violence victims have often been verbally abused for years and years, even maybe before the physical abuse started. They don't feel worthy of anything. They feel like they are a burden. And so our goal at City Light and at Valley Women and Children's Shelter, as well as River Life and Lighthouse, is to accept them where they are, accept them where they came in, but love them too much to let them stay in that deep spot. And to hand them the power and the tools. And we look at each person as an individual. So we have a set of rules and we have things that have to happen for the general good of 100 people staying together. But we also look at each person as an individual and we say, where is your hurt? Where is the problem that you're struggling with? And how can Jesus meet you right there?
Perfect. Okay. And then you kind of transition into hope a little bit. So talk a little bit about how we give people hope. And you talk specifically about the women and also the kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for our women, we do job classes. We work with several different organizations to teach them budgeting skills. We have a clothing room where they can come and they can get clothing. And I always joke that I'm serious. I don't care if it's a pair of jeans that has a $100 price tag on it. If it has holes in it, it doesn't belong in my clothing room. I don't care if it's in style. I want these people to feel good about themselves. And if you look good, you feel better about yourself. We also look for classes that can help empower them to give them the skills that they need to feel like they're moving ahead. We have chapel every evening, which they are voluntarily allowed to participate in, where they can hear the good news of Jesus and they can hear about how their life can change. And we try to do that in a lot of different ways. Sometimes it's an individual that comes and leads a Bible study. Sometimes we have a band that comes every other month and they've taken old rock and roll songs and put Christian words to them. So we try to look at different ways to encourage them. We also have a career class so the women can come and they can get career skills. We partner with organizations in the community such as Create Common Good and Full Circle Exchange to get our women training as well. So that's kind of the women, and then, that one-on-one discipleship with them as well. The kids, we have an amazing kids program, and the mission is very committed to changing that next generation and giving them hope. And so those kids are Monday through Friday, if school is out, those kids are put in a kids program during the summer and any other school out days so that their moms don't have to worry about how am I going to pay for daycare when my kids are out of school. Where those kids are taken to different businesses and different opportunities where they can have experiences that they haven't had before and just give them a hope for the future. And then we have a teen program that meets on Thursday nights. The teenagers, and we actually start with our about 11-year-olds on up. They get to meet community people who have maybe been through difficult situations in their life and see how they've changed
gives you a good overview of some of the things that happen, at least in that area. But if you could hear from the men's shelter directors as well, you'd hear the same level of complexity of all the things that are happening down there. And what we'd like to do now is talk to a few of the people that are within our ministry and start and listen a little bit about how the ministry is impacting their lives. So you got a couple of people to call up, right? So I think we had a couple of gals and a couple of guys. So let's welcome these guys up to the stage. All right. So hey, thanks for being brave. Thanks for being brave. All right. They'll be easy on you, I promise. Okay. If not, next week's sermon is going to be a doozy if you guys are hard on them, okay? So yeah, let's give them a mic. And what I'm going to do is just ask Bill and Julie to pepper them a little bit and give them an opportunity to tell a little bit about their story. We obviously can't stay for too long, but we want to hear from them of how the ministry is impacting them.
Ladies always go first at the rescue mission.
All right. Well, I'm going to introduce Sabrina first. Yeah, that would be good. So I've known Sabrina since she was a very young adult. And so, Sabrina, tell me a little bit about when you first came to the Boise Rescue Mission, what your attitude was, and how the staff interacted with you.
Well, I was put into the shelter by court ordered, in a sense, by drug court, and my attitude was completely. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to participate. I didn't want to have anything to do with them. There's pretty much two people that I talked to, three people that I actually they knew anything about me in a sense that it actually mattered. The three people were Julie Jones, Tammy Lawson, Carol. They were the three people that actually showed a caring and actually showed that I mattered and that it didn't matter if about my preferences or about anything in my life, that no matter what I was going through, they were there. It didn't matter what Julie was doing. If I needed to talk to her, she always made time, which it really gave me a sense of security in the fact that I could go to her and talk to her and she'd be willing to listen and hear what I had to say. Um, I I still didn't follow the rules. I was up at 5:40, 5:30, 5:45 out the door as soon as I could. I left, went off, did not awesome things, and unfortunately, they gave me lots of chances. They really did. They gave me lots and lots of chances, and I didn't take it. So unfortunately.
So Sabrina actually ended up in prison, and as she was looking to parole out, it was important to Sabrina to come back to City Light, even though she could have paroled out. So Sabrina, share why it was important for you to come back to City Light and you championed for yourself to come.
As Julie says, I was a young person going into prison or going into the shelter. I lasted in the shelter and drug court for 9 months, which meant that I was 19 when I went to prison. Um, so I just recently got out in June, and I've spent my pretty much what I know as an adult life in prison and incarceration under rules and
that Julie has of knowing these folks very well. I know them a little bit, but my job at the rescue mission these days doesn't give me much opportunity to be at the facility talking with folks in the program and homeless people staying in the shelter. But why don't you introduce yourself, brother, and then talk a little bit about what you're up to.
Good morning, church. So my name is Jeff Turner, and I am in the New Life Discipleship Program at the Boise Rescue Mission, and we know plenty about you.
Don't believe everything you hear, okay? As I used to tell my kids' teacher, if you won't believe everything they say about me, I won't believe everything they say about you. Worked out pretty well.
Deal.
Jeff? So tell us, Jeff, how'd you get to the Boise Rescue Mission, River of Life mission?
I had come here from Salt Lake City, Utah, and I was a product of a broken life. I had lost my job, my family, my career, a lot of my friends. I made some very poor decisions. I practically made every poor choice a grown man could make, and my ex had left me with our 2 kids and had moved out here with her parents in Boise. And at a point, I did try to change, and so I followed them out here because I wanted to be, despite the break between me and my ex, I wanted to be in my kid's life. And so I followed them out here. I didn't have a job, didn't have anything lined up. I just wanted to be a father to my kids. But I still had some decisions and some habits from my past that were still with me that I had a difficult time managing. So unfortunately, it led me to be making poor choices. So I was living out of my vehicle, but then just through anti-camping laws, I had to be at the mission, which for me, similar to her, I had a very difficult time with rules. I had a very difficult time with being accountable. I was frequently at wits with case managers, and it was difficult. But at the time, my mindset was not an adult would have, an adult male would have. So unfortunately, it led to a history of being in and out of the shelter and being kicked out. And I'm very thankful to this day that they kept giving me chances, and I try to prove myself. But unfortunately, with rules, I had my difficulties. And there was an opportunity for the New Life program, something that I thought about. I had been a believer, and I just had felt at the time that, okay, well, maybe God doesn't have a plan for me yet, but when he reaches out to me, I'll just do my own little thing. So yeah, I looked into the New Life program at the Boise Rescue Mission, and it's we only have 34 pages of rules.
We go easy on the men.
Yeah, it's only 34. However, it's I looked at it, and for me, I was at a point where I didn't have family to go to. I didn't have any friends. I'd say there were quite a few people at the rescue mission that didn't like me as well. So I had a very, very steep hill to climb, and it was actually to a point where they didn't want me to come
Jessica. I'll turn you over to Julie.
Hey, Jessica. So Jessica and her two kids live in the New Life program. Jessica, I want you to just take a minute or two to talk about the importance of the New Life program to you and your children and how it has given you guys a new security.
Bringing my kids into the New Life program has changed their lives because, it's taught me how and given me the support of parenting skills. And so I came in not knowing how to parent my children, coming from a broken home and not having a lot of skills. Julie and the staff there helps, you know, they help me in every way. So it's just really amazing.
Tell us about the change in Charlie specifically. Charlie
Uh,
is for 11-year-old.
My son, Charles, you guys might have seen him back here. When he came into the program, he was overwhelmed by all the rules and the consistency because he's never had that. And so he was very defiant. He got to the point where he ran away. Um, and when he came back, which at first I was a little scared because Julie suggested that we put him on a 30-day restriction and take everything away. And I thought that it was going to drive him even farther away, but it did not. He completely changed little by little, and he now likes following the rules. He's very respectful. He's helpful. He's doing awesome in school. So he's completely different.
Thank you. One thing I'll say about all of these folks and the folks in the program, and Jeff articulated it pretty well, and all of so far all of you have alluded to it, is that when you and you all know this, if you're a believer, if you know Jesus as your Savior, there's a joy that comes into your life, and it has nothing to do with circumstances. It has nothing to do with rules and following rules. It has everything to do with the power of God to change our hearts and make us the people that He wants us to be. And I certainly see that in all these folks. Josh,
Yes.
how'd you get to the rescue mission? Introduce yourself and tell us how you got there.
I'm Josh O'Donnell. I'm from Elko, Nevada originally. I got court ordered to be up here, and that was God's send right there because I was in jail, and I prayed to God to get closer to God and know Him better, and then I got sent to this program, which was the greatest blessing of my life because now I'm walking more with God than I've ever walked, and every day is a new adventure with God, and I just want to say thank you to Bill Roscoe for doing this for me because it's really meant a lot in my life.
It means a lot to me to help a guy like you. So praise the Lord. A little more or no? A little more? Okay. So what are you doing at the rescue mission? Talk a little bit about the day at the rescue mission, being in the New Life program, what that means, and what you're up to every day.
It's a it's a different thing for sure. We do all the service for the people downstairs. We clean and we serve the food for them. So, and mostly what we do is we try to get the word out to the people downstairs that are lost and broken and try to disciple because this program we want to get out and reach to and then try to bring them to
doing. Yeah. And so it's so much fun for me. It's so much fun for me to introduce my friends. And I realized while I was asking questions, I kept saying we, because I feel like I feel like this is my ministry.
And it
And
is.
I love that.
And
I
it is
love,
your
yeah.
ministry,
And
brother.
I
God
love
bless you.
I love the Boise Rescue Mission. So hey, I told you I wanted to do two things. I wanted to give you an idea and a glimpse into what God's doing, and I also wanted to challenge us a little bit to our servant's heart. Okay? And so let me get transition a little bit to that right now. And I was studying this week in Isaiah. Bill referred to Isaiah 58, but I was reading in Isaiah 6. And anytime I go to Isaiah, I always have to read Isaiah 6. And he starts talking about how awesome God is, right? He said, in the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord high and exalted, seated on a throne, and the train of his robe filled the temple. Above him were seraphim with 6 wings. With 2 wings they covered their faces, with 2 their feet. With 2 they were flying, and they were calling to one another, and they said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord Almighty. The whole earth is full of his glory. At the sound of their voices, the doorposts and the threshold shook. The temple was filled with smoke. This is the kind of God we serve. And Isaiah said, Woe to me, I am ruined, for I am a man of unclean lips. I live among a people of unclean lips, and my eyes have seen the King. Then one of the seraphim flew with a live coal, which he had taken with the tongs from the altar. He touched my mouth, and he said, See, this has touched your lips. Your guilt is taken away, and your sin has been atoned for. So we see the pattern of salvation here. Isaiah recognizes the holiness of God. He recognizes his own sinfulness, and then God makes a way for atonement. So that's the power of salvation that we've been talking about. So Isaiah's letting that sink in, and while he's realizing that the Lord has washed his sins away, he hears verse 8. Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Who shall I send? Who will go for us? And Isaiah said, Here am I, send me. So what other response could he give to the gift of salvation than to say yes to God? Right? And so that's what I want us to finish with here today is challenging us to have a ministry, to have a place where we're serving and we're making a difference in the kingdom of God. He saved us, all of us, just like all of these folks. He's brought us into the kingdom. And he says every day, who's going to go out there and do something for God? And we say, Here am I, send me. So, Bill, if God was speaking to one of these people here and said, Okay, I feel like I need to do something, what are some volunteer examples that you would have, from like maybe occasional up to a highly committed volunteer opportunity that you can share?
Well, one thing that I always start with at this point is to say to all of you that if you have a gift, a talent, or a skill, and you need a place to share it, we have a place for you. BoiseRM.org is our website, and you go to that website, you can log in on the volunteer page, you can see all the opportunities there, and you can pray and think about what you'd like to do. But it can be as simple as coming in one time a month or one time altogether and serving a meal at one of our 4 rescue missions. We serve 3 meals a day at 3 out of those, well, no, 4 out of 4. Valley serves lunch. No, Valley doesn't serve lunch in Nampa. But here at City Light and at the river and at the lighthouse in Nampa, 3 meals a day, every single day. About 950 to 1,000 meals goes through our production every day and service. So you can come and share a meal. And you can do that as a church. You can do that as a family. You can do that as an individual. Just let us know you'd like to do that, and you can come, and that can be your thing. There are people serving meals at the River of Life who've been serving meals since 1962 over on Front Street, and they have a routine and come on the particular day and do meal service. You can go beyond that. If you skills. And if you're academically a teacher, if you can do reading, writing, and arithmetic, Julie'd love to have you sign on and help to tutor the kids, the women, or you can tutor the men at the rescue mission, where a lot of our guys and ladies are working on GEDs, and we can use all the help we can get with people who can volunteer to help tutor those people, help them with their work. We have an after-school homework club for children, and when the kids come home, they get a snack, then they go to the Learning Center and do their homework, and moms help with that, but it's always good, and we have a lot of volunteers who come and help at the homework club. We need drivers, and particularly if you can drive with a CDL. We've got a couple of vehicles that need that CDL to drive, but we got a lot of people to move. We're taking people to appointments, we're taking people to court, we're taking people on outings and fun things, hauling kids. All summer long, we have a summer kids program, and we haul those kids all over the valley to show them different parts of life that they've never seen before, mostly, and hopefully let them catch on with what's out there for them as they grow up and become a part of the community. Bible teachers. Tony's one of our most faithful chapel speakers. He comes and speaks in chapel, I think at City Light and the Lighthouse, and so he invests his time and study and then his ability to speak to people with that great accent that he has. Can you imagine having chitlins with this man? You'd have chuckers with this man, but that's another story. So you want to take our guys chucker hunting? They probably can't have a gun. You know, a lot of them have a little bit of difficulty in being near firearms, but fishing trips are great. And you guys, you want to get together as a men's group and take our guys fishing. Get yourself 2-3 guys with vans and vehicles, and we used to have some fishing poles. Ricky, we still got we still got fish. Somebody donated a bunch of fishing equipment. Take them fishing. You play golf. I'll bet some of these guys play golf, and some of these ladies. Take them out, play 9 holes. I play golf. Poorly. I hit the ball sometime. So really and truly, if you're an artist and you want to share that gift and that skill, we can arrange for you to do that. BoiseRM.org is the website. You can sign up really easy, or get a hold of Tony. You can get a hold of me through that same website, or Julie, and come down and have a look. And that's, I guess, what I'd say at the end here is, if you've never been, how many of you have been to one of the rescue mission facilities? Well, that's remarkable. A lot of you. So tell these folks that not to be intimidated. Tell the rest of them, you can go down there. They're not going to shoot you. No. Only staff are armed, I think. Really, come down and see. Give me a call. You can reach me through the main number. You can reach me through the email. I'd love to host your visit, show you the facilities, introduce you to some of the great staff, and let you see what's going on there. And usually, as we're walking through that building, any one of those buildings, God is going to speak to your heart, as he's done to dozens and dozens and hundreds of people, and say, hey, you could help here, and you can help here. We have a place for you. The holidays are coming. We have 2 huge Thanksgiving banquets. We need a lot of volunteers to serve and prepare meals, hand out turkeys and food boxes for Christmas and for Thanksgiving. If you'd like to take that as a first opportunity, BoiseRM.org.